have this idea that you think can change your society or even the world. You have done your market feasibility studies, and to a greater extent, you are confident that your idea will disrupt the market. So what next? Do you go straight to register your company? Well, you can do that, but then that will arise some technicalities, as you'll find out later on in this video. So I'll really recommend that after you have that idea, the next step for you should be finding co-founders. And how do you go about it? Do you scroll down your phone book like I did and identify your friends who you think are good at something and probably sell the idea to them? Or do you make posts on LinkedIn and Twitter requesting people to join you? Or do you go solo? Well, in this video, we are going to talk about co-founders and possible guides on how you can get good co-founders. A disclaimer though, much as I try to be very objective on this, they are just my opinions and I can be wrong. I therefore advise you to do your due diligence when looking for co-founders, as it may help you in the stability of your company. That out of the way, I think it's good we get down to business. My first advice on getting good co-founders will be, no matter where you get your co-founders from, ensure that you know your strengths and most importantly, your weaknesses. Knowing your strengths and weaknesses will help you understand what you can offer and what your prospective co-founders can bring to your company. If you are technical and gifted in programming, it wouldn't make sense to bring someone who is good at computing at an early stage of your company, because you can offer that. Instead, you will go for someone who is good in business, or someone who has good business acumen, or someone who is good in storytelling, who can sell your idea. It's good to have a good variety of expertise in your company. So yeah, the reason why I advise that is, say once you do your self-analysis and you realize that maybe you're good in business, you're good in storytelling, you're good in selling the idea out there, you're good in breaking down the numbers to make sense to people, but then you're not good in programming, I think it will be prudent for you to go for someone who is good in programming so that you can complement each other. The other co-founder can do the programming bit, can do the computing bit, can do the data analysis bit, while you focus on, say, the accountancy part of the startup, or maybe selling the company and pitching the company. And most companies, that's how, you can see, we can talk about pretty much every big company right now. Facebook, we had Mark Zuckerberg, who was good in computing, but he wasn't really big on, say, the business side of things. So he had to bring in people who are good in business. At an early stage of Facebook, they had Eduardo Severin, who pretty much provided the initial capital for Facebook to run. And then later on, when Facebook was getting bigger, they had Sean Parker, who pretty much accelerated Facebook to what it is today. And even before Facebook was a big company, people say Mark Zuckerberg stole the idea from the Winklevoss twins. So you can see the Winklevoss twins probably knew they were not good in programming. So they had to look for, if the story is true, we assume it's true, they had to look for Zuckerberg, who was good in programming. So that's another thing. When you're looking for co-founders, make sure you're not just looking for anyone, but people you can trust. And that takes us to people you can trust and people who can complement you. So that's it takes us to our second point, and that is, while choosing your co-founders, try to go for people you at least know to a great extent, so that you don't end up like the Winklevoss twins. Well, yeah, they eventually ended up being billionaires themselves because they were really good in business. Like the cryptocurrency really propelled them to become like big and very wealthy. But yeah, that's not the story for today. We are talking about co-founders. So yeah, while choosing your co-founders, try to go for people you at least know to a certain degree. Well, it is easier to work on a solution with people you can navigate hard times and not those who will throw in the towel when your backs are against the wall. Try to have a pre-existing relationship with your co-founders. Yes, I understand that your friendship might be on the line. Say if things don't go as you planned, or say when money is involved, and especially when you have friendships there, sometimes it's not very advisable. But at least these are people you know. These are not people who will abandon you in the times of need. So yeah, that's the second point. Try to go for people whom you already have pre-existing relationship. First of all, communication won't be hard, and it won't be like they're approachable people. Say you're an everyday person. And I usually tell people your co-founder is in your phone book. You don't have to go and look for them somewhere else. They're not like very special people. Just take someone who is very good amongst your friends. If you know someone who is good in selling stuff, that can be your first sales representative of your company. If you know someone who is good in programming, that can be your first computer programmer. And pretty much that's what we did at Ekosokoni. The team at Ekosokoni are not, say, people who were big or very influential. We were just young men or young women who wanted to make change in our society. And the initial founders, I got them from my phone book, and that's something I've never regretted. Well, yeah, as I said earlier on, these are just my opinions and I may be wrong, but then I really, really recommend you go for someone whom you can trust and someone you can relate to quite well. My third tip on getting a good co-founder will be go for people whom will buy into your idea. Initial stages of a startup is very hard because during your initial stages, probably the idea is not very well structured, and then you don't have a lot of money, so that you can't risk, you can't try and probably say we'll try and then if you fail we'll change the idea. So it's very hard, and for you to have you need to have someone who will be able to withstand the storms of life that comes with it. Remember, startup, unlike your normal 9-to-5 job, is a 24 hours affair, and pretty much sometimes you won't get paid. You'll be volunteering your time for pretty much an entire year, just giving your all. You give your all, and no one pays you. So you need someone who will be able to know that yes, you're going to work more than will ever get paid, and will be doing that for as long as it takes until this idea makes sense. So it's just good to go for someone who shares the idea or buys into the idea you have told him or her. So that's my the third tip I'm giving you guys when it comes to getting a co-founder. Go for someone who will labor and who is ready to die for that idea. Someone who, this is how I usually like to put it. If you're looking for a co-founder, go get someone who will take cocaine and sell it to the Pope. You know, Pope is regarded by Catholics as one of the most holy people in their faith, right? So, and cocaine is pretty much one of, the worst things you can give someone, right, in terms of drugs. So going and convincing the Pope that yeah, you can have this cocaine, it's good for you. So you need someone like that, someone who will take the idea, probably is not very good, but convert it into something marketable and something sellable. Remember, you're in business, right? And in business, urgency and time is very important. So you need co-founders who will labor, and not just labor, knowing that they'll labor more than they will ever get paid for. So that's the third tip. Another tip, and I think this is something that people really don't pay attention to, but then this is something I've observed from Ekosokoni and from other startups. You need a good cop and a bad cop in a startup. And this is why. You need a bad cop because you need someone who will ensure things run. And sometimes you need someone who is strict, someone who is assertive, someone who will not, take, say, compromises when it comes to the startup, someone who wants the startup to excel. But then again, remember, you're working with people, and these people are not machines, and they have feelings, okay? So this is where the good cop comes in, someone who will cool the temperatures down. When, say, the bad cop is going overboard, you will have this other guy who people can approach, people can talk to, and pretty much can address the same thing, can make the company go well without having to be harsh or having to be very controlling. Both of them, the good cop and the bad cop, are very important in a startup because they help the startup in various ways that you may not imagine. Yes, you may argue from your point or from where you're sitting that maybe you don't need a bad cop, but sometimes you need that strictness to make things move, especially, say, in a landscape like the Kenyan market. Sometimes you need someone who will stand up for the company, someone who, say, can face up authority and push the demands and push the interest to the startup forward. But then you need a good cop when it comes, say, to customer relationship, when it comes to human resource development and human resource management. You need a good cop because you're dealing with people. People are emotionally driven. You don't want to tell people off. So if you need to, say, tell someone they're doing something bad, you don't take the bad cop there. You take the good cop to address it because the good cop has a better way of approaching it. Unfortunately, this is something that many companies, and not just startups, don't look into it. You'll find that they'll go for executives who are either extremely good cops or extremely bad cops, and that's a very dangerous blend. So when you're looking, and that's why I started earlier on by saying identify your strengths and weaknesses. Once you know probably you're a good cop, you'll try to find someone who isn't quite the same as you, and vice versa is true. If you're a bad cop, you'll try find someone who is a good cop. By good cop and bad cop, I mean someone who is strict and someone who is a bit laid back. You need those two qualities in a startup for everyday functioning. So that is the fourth tip of going for or finding a co-founder. The fifth and the last tip of finding a co-founder: when you are trying to find a co-founder, get someone who is versatile. I had earlier on mentioned that the initial stages of a startup is very hard. It's hard in the sense that you really don't have so much money. Many people don't believe in you. Pretty much, even some of your co-founders will be a bit skeptical. They'll be 1 foot in, 1 foot outside. But then you need someone who, say, can be a computer programmer during the day and at night is helping you with the accounts of the startup. Or you will need someone who is, say, is an executive, say, is the CEO who does the business side of things during the day, but then at night is down there pitching and writing reports. So you need someone who can multitask and very versatile, someone who can do more than one role as you still set up. It's not always holiday and merrymaking. Startup is a harsh world, a harsh reality. That's when you realize that it's not necessarily true that if you have so many friends that you'll have so many customers. I've actually come to realize that it's easier to convert a client to a friend than a friend to a client. I don't know why it works that way, but then that's just the harsh truth I've come to realize. And many realities will set on you. Probably what you thought was a brilliant idea may not be as brilliant as you thought. Or maybe you saw something working in, say, a Western world. Say, for instance, you have this app that does something cool in Britain, and you think, if I get the same concept and bring it to Kenya, it will work. But then you find out that it's not working. So yeah, there are many realities that will come to a realization, and some of it will come at a very initial stage. So when you're getting a co-founder, try go for someone who is versatile, someone who will not just do the work is intended to do. So for instance, if your co-founder came in as a sales president, or I don't know how you like to call it, sales president, right? His work wouldn't just be about sales. Earlier on, he may even be involved in packaging of produce. Like for us, we did work that probably wasn't the initial thing that we were supposed to do. So yeah, when you're getting a co-founder, try get someone who is versatile. Well, those are the 5 tips on getting a co-founders. Of course, the list can be more. And yeah, if you think there's another thing that I might have left out, you're more than welcome to put it down on the comment section. I love doing such type of videos, as I've said in my previous videos, because these are things that are dear to me, things to do with startups, things to do with my travel, things to do with economics, and pretty much many other things, science-based, and as many random stuff that you may think of. I like those type of things. And if you also like the type of videos I make, I really urge you to subscribe, like, and pretty much share it with your friends. It has been really nice making these videos, and the next video should be about company registration, especially in the Kenyan context, and maybe we'll also look into, say, if you want to register your company in America, we'll also look into that. That will be the next video, so pretty much be watching out for that. Until next time, my name is Mandisi Ian, and I look forward to interact with you in the next video. Bye.